From Tacoma, Washington, this is the Off the Back podcast. Hello and welcome to Off the Back podcast. I'm Matt Bonjour.
And I'm Danny Clark.
And we have matching mic stands.
Yeah, this whole thing's like gone up multiple levels after 2 years.
Dude, we are seriously so pro right now.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. And we've got like a little like studio set up here.
Yeah, it's a studio.
In the basement.
Also doubles as a basement.
Feeling pretty good. We've had some good amount of cross over the past couple of weeks, including one of the last races of the season. And speaking of which, we both skipped out on the Enumclaw Fairgrounds one.
Yes.
And I was watching there's this guy called Tim on YouTube who posts like race videos of the Cat 4, and I think you've seen yourself. Yeah, remember I sent that to you? And I watched his lap, and it actually looked like a really fun race.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really raining.
They always do after the fact.
I know, and I was kind of bummed. I would have liked it to have been a little bit more muddy, but I was a little bit disappointed that like I talked myself out of that one. But I think at the time I just needed to.
Yeah. Well, and similarly, I skipped the last race.
You did?
Due to a bit of a leg injury. I injured my quad doing some very moderate bodyweight workouts. But similarly, it looked like it had a lot of road sections, which is probably where I'm strongest, is like just like, 2 like minute and a half or 2 minute, like kind of pretty hard efforts with like a bit of a recovery afterwards. And so that would have been great. And then also like it had that type of Belgian like grass, like the Belgian field where it's like it's a soft ground.
You talking about the North Seatac one?
Yeah. So like after you get out of the single track,
man, I raced it and I can't even remember it.
I remember like walking along the surface, and it's kind of like, or walking along the course, and just, it's like when the rider goes by, you get like a tiny little rut.
Yeah.
And the next rider goes by, and it's like a super shallow rut, but it's just like that really soft, like almost peanut buttery mud.
But that stretch was so short.
Yeah.
Like it was from like the finish line.
Yeah, it's true.
And then you did like one, like kind of some barriers, jump some barriers, and then some little ploops.
Oh, actually, I did ride it. I just rode it following my 6-year-old son.
Oh, that's right. On the I saw you brought your bike.
So I did go through it, but anyway, again, similar regret for, well, maybe not regret, but disappointment that I couldn't.
That was hard, man. And I don't know if do you want to get into it now?
Well, let's come back to it.
Okay, because I was going to talk about it in my week recap.
Well, let's see here. Is there anything else we need to get out of the way?
I just was going to just talk about Zwifting. Neokyo.
Well, let's just jump into how was your week. Let's just go right
for
it and dive into how was your week. This is all part of being off the back.
Totally.
Just wing it a bit. We should call it off the cuff podcast.
That doesn't quite have the same.
But then people will think it's about like men's formal wear or something like that.
Maybe we'll get a whole new subscriber.
Yeah. We'll bring in like the formally dressed male into the cycling podcast world.
Well, I moved my sort of indoor setup. It was kind of over here in the corner, and I had like a shelf that I had screwed into the wall.
Right.
And it was working pretty good, but the shelf always felt too high. So, you'd be like ducking down, but having to like look up.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of move it around. So I moved it to another spot, and I had the shelf going out and lower now. Yeah. And I like it better over there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's me. No, but I've been Zwifting the last couple of days. I think I've talked several times about that 8Fit app, and I've been doing a kind of like 21-day return to fitness sort of regime. Dude, it's like like
you
I
got,
can
like, a
feel the
six-pack?
core.
Oh, nice.
I can feel the core work, but it feels really good. But I've been doing like these workouts and then riding for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I did the Champs-Élysées course in France, which was pretty fun. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, you're teleported to France in your
Paris,
basement.
in Paris. And then today I've just been trying to go and visit this like Neokyo, this sort of new like neon Tokyo course that Zwift did. And I thought I did it today, and then I ended up on some like Japanese islands.
Oh, interesting.
Which, like, I don't know about you, but it's been a long time for me where I've just ridden Zwift just like looking around. And what's really cool about the I think they're called Makari Islands, is that there's all these like castles that you can like ride around, and then there's a village that you can like ride through and then take loops within the village. And it was like a really fun course, and the half hour flew by because I was so engaged in everything that I was doing. It was a blast. Like,
nice.
If you get a chance, I highly recommend checking out the new kind of Japan or Makari Islands map.
Yeah,
it's dope. Like, nice. It's better that like some of the old Worlds courses are all right, you know. But this one is actually like, it's like a fun place to ride. And it was a blast.
Nice.
It was a blast. So I spent half an hour on that yesterday, half an hour today, just trying to make sure I'm making the most out of my Zwift subscription.
Nice. I actually canceled my Zwift, but I'll come back to that. Go on.
But MVDP.
Oh, right.
Garen Thomas.
Right.
And other people. I don't know who else is on that. We'll be talking about MVDP a little bit more later on. The other thing was just the cross race.
Yeah.
Cat 4s again. We already talked a little bit about the course layout, but it was a lot of single track, a lot of woods times, and then a ton of like road stretches where you would go down and then go up a little bit.
That sounds so good.
There was one point in the race where I was third place. Like I was third row starting. By the finish line, which was like, you know, a couple of 100 meters, I was already up in third place, and then I just kept on like losing places because the stairs were killer. But there was one point where I was in third place and I was coming down this hill, and it was a right turn onto single track, and I hit the brakes, and I literally just like slid past my turn.
Oh no.
So I lost a couple of places there. And
there's actually one of our Cascadia wheel team riders went down.
Really?
Full just like, you know, side slide on one of those turns and ripped up his kit. And
who?
I can't remember. I'm still kind of getting to know everybody.
It was actually at that course where I fell down a couple of years ago and just like slid out and just like hit the ground, and I had this huge bruise on my side. But a couple of other interesting moments in that race was the guy who had the broken spoke.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not talking about the bar that's on
right.
MLK. He had, and you could hear it. It would be like clunk, clunk, clink, 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 and he just would not move out of the way. And I was getting so annoyed with him because, as far as I was concerned, he had a mechanical, and there's no way that he can keep riding with that. And it literally, I mean, I can't even imagine what it was doing to his frame. But eventually, he did move out of the way, and then right at the end, I think the kid that is the series leader, it's one of these like 14-year-old kids.
Right. Classic.
I had been following him for a little while, and he had kind of gotten away from me, and I'd caught up to him and then gotten away, and I kept on catching up to him. And on the last little climb before kind of like going right to the finish line, I just kind of powered past him and then just like beat him to the finish line.
And like elbowed him out of the way.
Elbowed him out of the way.
Little kid.
Kicked his shins and just kind of dominated and just showed him that, you know, like the endurance of the 40 plus
you were like, I'm gonna tell your mother that you were riding like a jerk.
Yeah. So even though that was like, I don't know, I was kind of dominating this 14-year-old, it felt really good. It felt really good. And Joey keeps joking about how, like, for some reason, 14-year-old bike riders I'm always racing against them. I'd like to not be Cat 4 sometime.
Yeah.
It feels like it. What does it feel like? It feels like I'm at the bottom of the pile. Even though, like, I'm enjoying success and having a good time racing, it just feels like it's the, like, lowly ranks, and I'd love to not be in those ranks anymore.
Well, you could like own up to it and just race the, like, 35 plus category, and then you won't at least be racing against 14-year-olds.
True, but I thought about that. But the problem is that they always follow the Cat 4 Open,
right?
Which
so
means
you have to go through all the traffic.
You have to go through all the traffic, which I could see as being fun. Also, just dominating, like, a whole group of people, but I could see it being really annoying if you're trying to race hard, and then you have somebody that's doing single track exceedingly slowly, and you can't get past them.
No, I hear you. I mean, it is kind of just the inevitability of cross racing.
Yeah. Is there like a like kind of unspoken protocol that if you're lagging in a race and you have the leader of the next category coming up to you,
no,
like you can't call out and say, hey, like race leader.
You can,
but would they do anything
Probably
about
not.
it?
Not if it's cat 4.
Well, when cat 3 I never get to stay until cat 3 races. Like, I've seen like one cat 3 race.
I think honestly the only difference between cat 4 and cat 3 is, and forgive me any cat 3 racers, but I think it's mostly just like total race duration versus like the sum of the talent being significantly faster.
I just always assumed that cat 3s like can mount and dismount properly and can maybe do barriers a bit more.
I haven't observed that.
Really?
Well, so I mean the cat 4 races, at least in the Northwest and with our series, have been typically like 30 to 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's usually like 3 to 4 laps.
Yeah, dude. And they shortchanged us again this one.
Well,
it was
and
3 laps.
Yeah, and they're the opening race. And so if it's a big field and it's getting really strung out, then they usually cut it short to keep on time.
Oh.
But then cat 3...
Is that why?
Yeah, I think so. And then cat 3... typically ends up racing about 40 to 45 minutes. So they usually get like 1 to 2 extra laps. But I mean, just at an observation, I don't feel like anyone's going faster. They usually race like 4 to 5. Whereas like cat 4 usually races like 3 to 4. But it's typically been like 3 almost every race. So anyway, I mean, maybe you could just cat up one race and try it out next year.
Yeah.
I just know by like 30 minutes, I'm like, that was fine. I'm done.
Dude, but I just feel like I spent money. I drove up here. Like, I cleaned my bike.
Oh, yeah. Well, you didn't clean it after the race.
It's not yet clean.
So
it's a protective layer of protection. Well, the other thing that's preventing me from wanting to cat up is that those races are always at like 12 or 1 o'clock.
See, I actually like that. Like, I would love to sleep until about 9.
Oh, no.
Just kind of ease my way into a few espressos.
I love getting my race out of the way, and then I just, like, I'm free the rest of the day.
See, well, and plus, the thing I hate is the course conditions are always so fresh in the Cat 4, because it's the first race of the morning.
Yeah.
That there's, no ruts. There's, like, no torn up surfaces. It's, like, usually slick, or, you know, like, the line hasn't been found, so it's clumsy. I don't know, man. Joey's tried to talk me into racing single speed, which is like, that's like a whole nother deal. But honestly, it's kind of fun because you just know what you get.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do any of this stuff.
It does. I absolutely see the appeal.
Yeah. And nothing's really going to break.
No, that's true. But
and the bikes weigh like 12 pounds.
Yeah, you just like take everything off.
Yeah.
No, I get the desire for single speed. I think I just like I don't know, like even though single speed I guess technically is more pure, I think I like the purity of the sort of like the cross bike and the sort of cross event. And in the same way that like, you know, so much of what I do and think about is how can I emanate the pros. Like I feel like that's the same with...
that's why we're off the back. We're just like thinking constantly about... I mean, dude, it's funny though that you mentioned that, because I mentioned last episode I'm building up like a direct...
Yeah, have you got your frame yet?
No, dude, it's like it's moved like through every city in China. Literally, it has like 18 points of contact, but like not yet left the country.
That's crazy. I just figured it would be like... I was sort of surprised that you hadn't mentioned it. I figured you would just have it by now.
Well, it shipped like immediately, but like
yeah, but it's just shipping very slowly.
Look at the tracking. Oh wait, here I gotta sign in.
I love that you ordered a frame from AliExpress.
Yeah, it feels like so. I feel so like a real bike shop now. Look at this.
Oh my!
It's like it went through Beijing, it departed Beijing, back at Beijing again. Through like customs, all this stuff. Now it's in Jieshou or something. Yejiacheng Yongshan Yongshu. And then like
that's awesome.
Anyway, it's like gone through all these cities. So it's already been a week and it's like moved 20 times, but who knows, man. So we'll see what happens. But what I was gonna say is I was on eBay, and all the pros who ride Shimano have a 4639 chainring set Dura Ace, and it's not released to the public. It's only available for pro racers. And oh god, why am I saying this on a public forum? I found some on eBay, and
don't worry, we can delay the release.
Okay, great. I was gonna purchase them.
Why don't you buy them tonight?
I should, but anyway. I was like, dude, I want to get that chain set because it's like, it's the pro setup. And then in my head, I'm like, look, I don't even have a 39 on my road ring, and I have enough problem going up hills. That's why I have like a 5236, which is what the closest you can get is like an Ultegra 8000 series 4636. Yeah, I think. And so anyway, all that being said is I wanted to do a 2x pro setup in the front. And
but
just because like
isn't I get it, but I still don't understand. I had a 2x for a season, and I don't even ever remember changing the front ring. Like it just didn't happen.
I mean, I usually have sections of the course. Like I think most courses I'll either be in the I'll usually this year when I race my double in the front, I don't think I went in and out of the big ring more than once a lap. So it was like there was like a section where I was in small ring, and then there's a section I was in big ring.
So say at like Steelecombe, once you did the run, like you did the flat stuff in the big ring,
right?
Did the run up, and then maybe had that like uphill
yeah. So like
period
after the run
ring.
up, I was all small ring until the descent, and then I went into the big ring.
Big ring.
But like I like having the gear ratios. Whereas like the 1x, you know, your jumps can be a little bigger.
Yeah, I just have never I've never felt like I haven't been able to race properly because I had a 1x.
I know, but that's not the point. The point is to be like all the pro Shimano setups.
Well, I know that less and less riders are riding with 2 rings. Most of the Shimano people are, right?
Yeah.
But most of the SRAM people are on 1xs.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know if there's any access setups in the pro ranks. I feel like it is like Force.
Isn't Trek is on SRAM?
Are they on Axis though? I think they're on just a 1x.
Well, isn't Access the 1x setup?
Well, I think the Axis has 2 in the front.
Yeah, but they always
like
had
12 speed.
They always had a 1x option though.
Yeah,
because remember
true.
In Paris-Roubaix 2 years ago, Degenkolb dropped his chain.
Oh yeah, and then the whole 3T. What was the the 3T
the
bike?
Aqua
Strada?
Blue?
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel
so
bad for that.
Well,
even though I have a 3T and I love it, and honestly, I've never dropped the chain ever. Like it's never come off that front ring unless I've been like changing something.
Yeah.
I haven't had it come off.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's quite a few pros on one by, but almost every Shimano rider, which is like Wout, Matthew. I mean,
Wout is now, but he was on SRAM for a season, right? When he was on Crelon, Williams Crelon. Yeah, because
that was a Stevens bike. I think.
But he was on SRAM because remember he was doing all those SRAM commercials, so they were like Woot. He was like Wout. Woot? No, Wout.
Well, all that being said, I mean, it's interesting because the pro Shimano riders are on basically a Dura Ace road setup with the exception of the front being the smaller chain rings.
But they don't ride it's not GRX. They don't do GRX?
No,
Really?
dude. Yeah, they're all on like a Di2 Shimano Dura Ace. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So so Matthew Vanderpool.
I mean, I guess I'm on
Wout's,
Force. I'm riding Force 11, 1x11, so that makes sense.
Anyway,
wow,
I don't know. Random tech. We haven't had a tech podcast in a while, but that is
No, but that's fun.
So they ride. So Matthew and Wout both ride an 1130.
And I know that you've checked.
1130 cassette. And then they have a standard Dura Ace rear derailleur, and then they do the 4639 front chainring setup, and it's all Di2.
Wow.
So it's basically like a road. It's basically the road setup except the smaller front chain rings, and like an 11 to 30 versus 11 to 28. I think some of them may even have an 11 to 28, but
I don't want to jump the gun on this, but maybe we can talk about the Pidcock and Wout and MVDP and when they return to Cross. But Pidcock is going to be riding a new Pinarello cross bike that has that same top tube kink. Looks pretty cool.
Well, and
pretty cool.
We saw Marion Voss on the prototype Cervelo cross bike earlier this season.
Yeah.
So with like a no name, but like Cervelo cross bike. So Wout will likely be riding probably the official release of that.
Yeah, I imagine
frame.
so, right?
So yeah. We'll be interested to see, but. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do a Tech Talk episode sometime soon.
One last thing that we should say, and then you can add any things from your own week, is that we did finalize our Fayetteville Worlds plans.
We're coming for you, Arkansas.
We're going to be there, so we come fly in Friday, head out Monday. We got to track down a post-race party.
Dude, everyone's going to think you're from Europe, like for real.
Did you fly in all the way from? No, actually, just Tacoma, Washington.
They're gonna be like, wait, but you have a European accent.
I never even thought about that, but I'm so excited because we're gonna be seeing for the first time MVDP, Tom Pidcock, Wout, Ceylin, Lucinda, Anne Marie.
Well, Wout is unconfirmed.
Yeah, but he's going to go.
I sure hope so.
Dude, of course he's going to go. Matthew's now confirmed, right? Yeah. And I think Pidcock's confirmed.
Yeah, they released their schedule for that.
I'm sure Voss is confirmed because she's picking up some more races towards the end of December. So yeah, we're super excited about that. And I think the more we've been finding out about it, the more... like unlike our Nats experience, it's going to be like there's no parking at the venue at all. So like obviously we have a rental car because it's goddamn America.
Yeah.
But somehow we got to figure out how to park the car and then get to the venue. So maybe we'll bring some scooters.
Razor scooters. I thought about that.
Have we looked to see if they have
any of
Arkansas or Fayetteville has, because or just like those like shoulder sling ones. The other thing that's been annoying is that we just cannot figure out how to request for press passes. And
just take anything you think of that's happened in the last decade and go back 10 years, and that will be the experience in Arkansas.
That would be
Sorry, well, honestly, I'm just kidding. We love you, Arkansas.
I'm a little bit nervous about coming from a Washington mindset in how we're approaching coronavirus to then going into Arkansas And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit nervous about, well, and then who knows what's going to happen with this whole Omicron variant.
Well, yeah. So that
is it going to get canceled? What if it's canceled?
Well, we don't want to talk about that because it's already happened.
Dude, if it's canceled, we'll just take our bikes and we'll ride bikes for 2 days.
We'll hang out with Tyler.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Or we'll just take our cross bikes and ride the course for 2 days.
Yeah, that sounds great. We're looking forward to. There's definitely going to be some of our American pro riders. So like Tyler Cloutier's. One of our friends that we met at Nats.
We're gonna go hang out with Clara.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
I just really want to get a hookup for a party on Sunday.
Oh yeah, well we'll see what happens. Remember we gotta drive to Kansas City and fly home the next day.
Yeah, but we got like hours.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
Last week. Like 2019 was so much
mental.
fun.
Well,
what about you, dude? How was your week?
I don't know. What are we?
Did you buy your flights yet?
Yeah, I finally bought flights.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you get? Are we sitting next to each other?
Sort of. I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay. Well, I can always change mine.
I always end up upgrading my seats anyway. Okay. Well, the short of it is, let's see. What have I done this week? Nothing. I've done absolutely nothing. I did hurt my quad. Doing some basic exercises at home a few weeks ago, but I think it's healed up. I actually started doing ice baths. It's this.
Oh, you thinking about
Dude, it's so funny. Sorry, for those of you not watching the YouTube, Matt's pulled up the pro cycling stats, and the advertisement is like a banner of nothing but women's leggings, and so I was just really confused what was happening. That was similar to me the other day. I was getting ready in the morning and I was looking at my phone and my wife's like, "Why are you shopping for sunglasses?" I'm like, "What are you even talking about?" And she's like, "On your phone, I saw you looking at sunglasses." I'm like, "I'm reading an article. I don't know. I'm not looking at the advertisements." And sure enough, I scrolled back and there's like a sunglass. Anyway.
Which wouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, but she's like, "Don't you have enough sunglasses?" I'm like, what are you talking about? It's 8:00 in the morning. Anyway, where was I?
Your ice baths.
Oh yeah, so I started ice bathing. So I got
Normatec boots.
Yeah,
did you buy them?
No, I didn't. No, I just I've been Wim Hofing.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh, Wim Hof. No, I when I hurt my leg, I decided to ice bath, and it was really helpful. And so then I continued doing it despite the absolute torture of putting your body into very cold water. But it's cold in the Northwest, and so I would like ice bath early in the morning. And then the whole day, I'd walk around like in shorts and a t-shirt, and it's like 50 degrees outside.
Dude, that's what my wife was. She just like was just always warm. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like if you can just trick your nervous system once, you're good for 24 hours. But anyway, so I was doing that.
We also we rode around Steilacoom with Varnell.
Oh yeah,
that was fun.
That was before I hurt my leg.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we did run around Steilacoom a little bit. That was great. But no, I've taken some time off, and then funny that Matt mentioned or that I mentioned the pop-up banner on his little on his the advertisement.
I really like these kind of like lava
floral print ones.
Yeah, and then this sort of paisley pattern. I think
it's hot.
I think I'm gonna go for that.
I got really so this whole Black Friday situation and Cyber Monday. This year I didn't go crazy, but like anything that was on sale that I had ever thought about buying at some point, I went for it, or replenish like stores of things I normally get. And so anyway, one of the items that was on sale was this like all these like Instagram companies, or not companies, but like these brands that advertise
like artisanal shorts.
Like that. Yeah, like hand woven canvas shoes. No, they're like the companies that offer these like training programs. So like functional patterns. Gosh, I don't know. I had them all open at one point. Sorry, don't judge me. Anyway, there's like I don't know, just all these body movement training programs, and they were all like, on sale or what have you. And functional patterns was the one that I was most interested in. And then I started looking at reviews and stuff online, and eventually found someone had mentioned just foundation training, quote unquote. And apparently they're like, yeah, all this stuff is basically some sort of knockoff of that training program. And I guess like this is older. It's like 10 or 12 years old. They still have a Cyber Monday sale on Tuesday. But basically I did this foundation training YouTube video. I shared it with Matt, and I couldn't even make it the 12 minutes of this video. And all it is kind of setting up like proper posture and then kind of holding tension in the body, which is basically almost all of these programs do some form of that. And so anyway, I've just, similar to Matt's thing minus the Zwift, I've just been working on strengthening my body and kind of aligning stuff. And it's interesting. I've had some, what I would say, pretty good results from it. I feel like cycling didn't always used to do this to me, but I just get in these maybe small adaptations, and then they kind of metastasize, if you will. And then I end up just like, even right now, like I can feel like how sore the front of my calf is, and I've literally done nothing for like weeks, but it's, I
get that like after my first couple of like long jogs.
Oh yeah.
Or like anytime I play 90 minutes of football.
Oh yeah.
And the next day I'm just like, why do my front of my legs
hurt? Totally, man.
It's crazy.
So anyway, so it's interesting. Yeah. I short of it is, I'm just kind of trying to get my body back into good posture. And the good news is I'm feeling changes. Like, I texted Matt the other day. I'd gone for a walk and like came home and I was like, oh, my back hurts, but it like hurts in a good way, where it felt like something was like reconfiguring and stuff. So anyway, but no, I'm just taking some of this time in December when the weather's absolute rubbish to kind of just rest and recover. And and two, like racing cross is no joke. Like, it wears your body out. Like, I don't care what level you're at. I mean, when you go like full tilt for, however long on a weekly basis, I mean, it definitely wore me out, and it's good to take a little break. So anyway, all that being said, I can't say that much has happened this week. Just kind of cruising. Yeah. Just trying to get the body feeling good. And I will say I was fortunate to have a couple days off of work around Thanksgiving and just slept like crazy. And so these last few days of waking up for work has been like, no one should live like that. But dude, we all have to.
My wife is massively inspired by this pasta from, I think she's from the East Coast. She's called the Napping Pasta.
Oh, it sounds perfect.
And her ministry is just all about basically like rest.
Oh, totally, man.
And I've been ministering unto the Lord over the last couple of weeks.
I like it.
Because I have had like many a nap on the couch of late, and just kind of like just curling up and so
well,
good.
And that one last thing on that is I got inspired at one point along the way to do this meditative practice called Yoga Nidra, which is like it's just a deep meditative sleep. And there's another podcast that I consume, Andrew Huberman podcast. Here I am advertising someone else, but he's basically like an expert in cognitive cognitions. Cognitions
development.
Yeah, no, he's like an expert in neuroscientist. That's the word.
Perfect.
That was a proper phrase. But he just talks about like intense periods of focus coupled like patterned with an intense period of rest. And so this Yoga Nidra stuff is like it's like a 15-minute little guided meditation just to like help you kind of relax the body and like get into a really deep breathing pattern. And that's it. Like, it's nothing crazy, but I do that almost every day. typically is like a reset right before the family gets home, because I need to like get my head in the game to deal with my kids. But sometimes just like if I'm feeling a lack of focus, I'll just like I'll give myself like the grace to like go lay down for a few minutes. And
nice.
But it's been really helpful, and I think there's something to that mind body reset. You know, we talk about mindfulness so much in our culture these days, but anyway,
not as much as we could. But you're gonna Nidra move on to the next topic, which is racing cross.
It like hurts.
So we've a couple of races like Tom Pidcock, for example. I think what date did Wout announce he was coming back? Was it the 5th of December as well? Because I thought that they were going to be coming back for that 5th of December World Cup, but that has now been cancelled because
I think it did.
A raise, an increase in COVID cases in Belgium, which is kind of a real bummer. And they're actually implementing some changes, but. So I don't know.
I'm sure they pointed it all back to the cyclocross racing causing the.
Well, they're going to be like they've cancelled one, and then for some of the super prestige, they're essentially going to be racing them without spectators. So we're going to be going back to like. It's basically going to be back to like how we race cross, which is nobody.
You know what we should do is just what's that Instagram account Off the Back Foot that plays like classic cycling videos with heavy metal music.
That's awesome.
You know the one I'm talking about, right?
I think so. Yeah, you showed it to
maybe
me.
we should do that. Is just like get some really, really awesome heavy metal music playing in the background. Because when they had no spectators last year, it was just like there was like no noise. It's just
how
like,
sweet is it going to be to do the ambient sound on GCN
with no crowd?
No crowd, and then you can really hear like oh, I breathe that hard.
I'm
too.
really into the ambient sound. I do want to know.
But it looks like Wout and Pidcock, I think, are going to be coming back towards the beginning of December. MVDP is not going to be coming back until like Christmas Day, I think, is what was announced.
Yeah, it's pretty late. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him all three
the
racing
day
together
after Christmas. But he's got to be doing something to get those points. Or maybe just because he's the world champion, of course, he gets an automatic invite. Yeah, he's
probably starring in commercials in his meantime here.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But we did have a few races the last couple of weeks. So the Super Prestige Merckx-Plasse, I don't remember a bunch of it, but Brand won the women's, Isabet won the men's. Then we had the World Cup at Coxside, which is an amazing race. And
so good, the sand surf.
Yeah, if there's like, I honestly think if there's one cross race that you should watch, if you only ever watch one, it should be a Coxside.
Yeah.
Just because it's kind of this legendary course. You know, especially the sort of two straights in the sand that really separates the racers from the wannabes.
Right.
And Anne-Marie Verse just had an amazing race where she really demonstrated that she still has it. And then, of course, has not won anything since. And Isabet...
But she's been like top 5 for like the last...
Yeah, well, she's been kind of hovering in the top.
She had a few
top
podiums
5, top
too,
10.
Right?
Yeah, she's had a few podiums here and there.
She's had 3 or 4 podiums this season.
Isabet and Toonets had a really great kind of back and forth, and I thought Toonets was going to win at some point, and then just didn't quite have the stamina or the technique to like make it stick. And then the X2O Urban Cross, which is a really interesting race in that they like the finish line is on a bridge, and then they ride across a pedestrian bridge to kind of get back to finish the loop. And it's kind of a fun, very technical course, but it's also really fast. And it's very, very rarely very muddy. And Brand has won that now 3 years in a row. So she's the only female winner of that race. Like nobody else has won that. And we saw a great second place by CDCA, which I love. And just as an aside, we talked a little bit about Bill from Crosshairs, who's like my cyclocross idol.
Yeah.
I listen to his CX Hairs podcast periodically.
Right.
And just as a little bit of a rant, like, and I know you're never going to hear this, Bill, but they have so many like in-house jokes and references that if you don't know what they're talking about, half of the podcast you have like no idea what's going on. Like that, like CDCA, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado is just known as Primetime. I don't know why she's called Primetime. They don't say CDCA and then say Primetime. They just say Primetime.
Hey,
so Primetime did well.
I think we should take it up and go with it, man.
And then they just like drop these references that I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Maybe they need a little key.
So they do need a key. They need a lectionary.
A lexicon?
A lexicon. Is that the same thing?
God, I don't know.
But anyway, so it was, I mean, it was just another one of these wins where Brand just was dominating. And out of the 4 races that happened, Brand won 3 of them.
Yeah.
So she continues to be the dominating force. And frankly, I'm starting to feel a little bit like MVDP in the sort of 2018, 2019, when he just was like winning every single race from the first corner.
I feel like for me, the difference though is like, and I don't mean that Brand doesn't ride with confidence, but she looks like she's struggling. She's
working for it.
She's like, she races so tactically.
That's true.
That you feel like she's kind of like playing the cards, if that makes sense. So she's like, you know, I bought Ticket to Ride, the board game. And we've been playing it all the time with my kids.
Sorry, that's just the deepest reference.
I'm sorry. And so anyway, it's just funny because as much as I want to like give my kids a chance, I also want to win and beat like all my children. And
my wife accuses me of this.
So
all the
I begin
time.
to watch like where are they building because they don't think that way. And then so I begin to think like, oh, I do need to finish this, but they're so unaware that I need to finish this that I could actually play here and block them like for no reason. Anyway,
like, I'm gonna teach you a lesson, kid. This is how it works in the real world.
Yeah.
That's
so funny. Yeah, some 18-year-old's gonna sell an NFT and like make more money in a week than you're gonna make in your lifetime. But the point is, no, I feel like Brand races with that very tactical sense that you're always kind of like seeing her like pull back on the lap and like actually go into the pack and like sit in for a couple laps and then attack. Or whereas MVDP, I feel like, I mean, he is racing tactically, but his strength is that he can just do obscene amount of watts for a very long time. So I don't feel like he ever, like the races where Matthew Vanderpoel gets caught up to and then sits in are super interesting, but
because they never freaking
but like 90% of the races, MVDP would just go off the front lap 1 and then keep the pressure on and then basically like freewheel the last couple laps because he built so much of a lead, you know. So
well, it's interesting that you say that
like casually,
because he's doing like 400 watts consistently the whole time,
but he looks like he's freewheeling.
In the last World Cup at Besançon in France.
Thanks for taking that one.
You're
I would
welcome.
have said Besançon.
Well, you know, the C has that little like the little dip underneath, and that means that it's
call it in French?
Sounds Besançon. So it's like an S. It turns a C into an S, which is why don't they just have an S in the first place? It sounds like
4 S's.
Who knows? But like Brand rode within the pack for the first part of the lap, and then just realized that like she was just not it just was no benefit to riding behind. And so about halfway through the first lap, she jumped in front, and then she just was never seen again.
Well, and that's what has made her racing so exciting for me this season is like, yes, you know, she's dominating, but and then too, like watching Betsema try to like figure out how to tactically play against Brand has been interesting. But and then similarly, like I wanted to say back to the Urban Crosses, Toon Aerts is like number 1, like 3 times the size of Ellie Iserbit. And then number 2 is just
like literally.
It's just like he has like I mean he was Belgian champ, like he has the talent, so it's been fun to kind of watch him kind of come up and figure out how to race tactically against Ellie Iserbit too. So Anyway, I've been enjoying the tactical racing, and honestly, like when Wout, and so if Wout, Matthew, or Tom Pidcock were racing right now, it would be boring. But the fact that all three of them are going to clash, they three will be racing tactically against each other, which is going to make it interesting again.
I disagree with your first statement, because I think it's just going to be interesting for them.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I'm waiting for them to come back.
Well, no, me too.
It makes it, for the fact that they're in the race, makes it interesting for me by definition.
Well, sure. I get that too. Yeah. One
more thing with the women's race in Besançon. One is that our new favorite Puck Peters.
Oh yeah.
Didn't have she had an okay race. I think she came in fourth. But Canadian Magali Rochette,
yeah, that was awesome.
Who is somebody that was racing for a few seasons with 10-Speed Hero kit sponsorship. And actually they, like Luke from 10-Speed Hero was like a huge part of kind of sort of helping her along the way, like one of those people that just one of the supportive characters that every successful racer has in their life. And so I feel like I have some sort of a connection with her just through the whole 10-Speed Hero thing. But she came in second, and
it's really, really pulling at strings.
It's a very,
I like 10-Speed Hero, therefore I feel connected.
Admittedly so.
Okay, no, it's fine.
But there was a racer, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, that was at Nats, who was a 10-speed racer
I know who you're talking about.
And she and I definitely had a conversation about 10-speed, and I don't want to say we had a connection, because that's speaking a little too favorably of our interaction. But as soon as you say it, it's gonna get on my nerves. It's not.
Yeah, just keep going.
It's not Ruby West or Sarah Stern.
No, I know who you're talking about.
She has dark hair.
No, I know exactly who you're talking about. I can see your face.
Yeah, me too. Not Joey Mullen.
Okay, go on.
But anyway, so super cool to see her come in second. Like, this is her best result in any World Cup. And well, I think she did pretty well in some of the US-based World Cups, but to see her be successful in Europe, normally she starts off really strong. She's top 5, and then she'll fade and end up being maybe a top 10. So that was super exciting. So I'm super happy for her about that. And I bet the name is going to come to me by the end. She might not be sponsored by them anymore. But anywho's, and then in the men's race, Isabet won, and I think I only watched the beginning of it. I didn't watch the end of that race. Did you watch the men's? Hold on, do you have it?
I think I did.
No, that's the men. That's the men masters.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
What do you?
Oh gosh.
Right now.
Hang on.
Relay. Women masters. You don't know what you're finding. It's like it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It doesn't matter at this point.
I actually don't even know if she's still racing. Well, let's take a look at North Carolina Grand Prix Day 2. It's been fun to see Emily Werner's results have been improving of late. Emily Werner's married to Kerry Werner and has been racing the whole time, and her results are slowly improving. Dude, I don't think she races anymore.
Perhaps not.
Did you look up U.S. Nationals?
Working on it. Well, I did want to mention too, I think
yes.
Anything?
No, why don't you talk and then I'll look for it.
I see. Well, all that being said is this totally derailed the entire podcast. Danny, her name's Danny something.
Danny Almond. Danielle Almond.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. Yes, nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah, so she used to also race for them, and 10-Speed Hero. I mean, I'm wearing their socks right now.
Yeah, it's weird.
No, I don't have their t-shirt.
Getting really weird.
But I'm disappointed because their socks just aren't as good as they used to be. And they've gotten a lot shorter. So it's not quite the same thing. But and then I think if we can just talk about news.
Oh, I did want to say one other thing.
No, we're done.
No, wait, you totally ruined it. Hang on. No, it's not your fault. I'm sorry. No, you didn't. Dude, I think it was how do you say it?
Besançon.
Okay. I think
Besançon.
It was either that or maybe the Urban Cross before, but dude, Anna Kay. It was the race that had the like stairs where they do the multiple bunny hop.
Yes. And then go onto the bridge that went over. Yeah, that was the Urban Cross.
Dude. So, number one, it was funny because Lucinda Brand was running that the whole time.
Yes, true.
And I felt like she had the faster line by running it. But then Puck Peters, Betsema, and Anna Kay were riding it. Mm-hmm. And I think on one lap...
the CDCA was riding it as well.
CDCA was riding. Yeah, that was the one. And I think that was... At one point, it showed that Lucinda Brand was faster to run it because she could actually cut the corner and remount. Whereas the other riders had to swing wide. But, dude, I've never noticed how Anna Kay is arguably the smoothest rider in the women's cyclocross circuit right now. Like, she... I could go back and watch that and like pinpoint the moment.
Smoothest and most technically adept.
Like I'd noticed on every line she took, she was like super confident. There's like very few wobbles. She was riding those stairs. Like, anyway, it just...
I used to think that of Sana Kant, but lately she's like crashed.
Well, she is
almost every race.
I think Sana Kant's like incredibly smooth, but I think Anna Kay's, finished. I mean, Sana Khan's actually had some pretty good finishes the last few races, like top 10.
She's had these weird crashes that have happened. And she's like I always thought of her as the sort of Vincenzo Nibali of the cross scene, in that like she just didn't crash. Like you just would never see her making a mistake, which is crazy. But there was one other thought. Oh, in the Besançon race.
Yeah.
Watching the women's, it's one of the most clear and most interesting examples of where one rider has an advantage in one section and then another rider has an advantage in a different section. Because you would see Rochette catching, like riding certain sections really hard. Like there was this sort of like mud uphill section that she just was gaining time on everyone. But then she would like lose it in other areas of the course. I think the only other place I saw that super clearly was in the, the climb, what's that one with the cobblestone climb?
Koppenberg?
The Koppenberg climb.
You're welcome.
I was so close. The Koppenberg climb
didn't even
where...
guess.
Like where Hunsinger and Betsema, like Betsema would catch her on some of the downhills, but then Hunsinger would pull away in other sections, and they were so consistent in both of like the places where they would gain and lose time. It was really interesting to watch, and watching that with like the history of watching all the CX hairs like Svennis and like a Voss videos just provide this sort of level of analysis that I thought was super interesting to watch.
No, I agree. And I did want to add too, I think I've also noticed Lucinda Brand is probably not technically super proficient, but she's just like a brute force.
Maybe now she is.
Well, I mean, dude,
she's got those loose ends that she used to have a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
I feel like she's really tied a knot.
I mean, don't get me wrong. She's wearing the rainbow jersey for a reason, but every time I watch her, I feel like she's like a hammer on a piece of glass where she's just like blasting through these sections. But it's like,
it's a good metaphor.
She's always got her leg out. She's always like catching a fall, or like, the bike's just like going every which direction on muddy sections or sand, or like there was a lot of sections that she struggled with over these last few weeks, but she just has so much brute force like that. It just
muscles her way through
it.
Yeah.
And other riders that have the finesse, like don't have, like they may have a smoother line, but they don't have the speed or like the oomph. So anyway, it's been interesting.
Do they not have the gumption?
Exactly. They need to eat more Wheaties.
Gumption. No, I totally agree. I think that's a great example, but I think she's matched her technical ability. I mean, she's got Sven as her coach, for God's sake. So her technical ability is now starting to match her like
power,
her hammer.
Yeah.
Like her hammer is she's got the pane of glass. She's identified the exact point where it needs to break, and she's just hammering at that point. I think that's where her like racecraft has really improved, which is scary. And she's always been amazing, but now she's like amazing.
Right. Yeah, it's been fun to watch. Well, a couple little bits of news.
One bit of news.
Well, yeah. So we I guess it's not a title sponsor.
Should I play
because it's on their ass. No, nah, dude. So it looks like DeCoinic has moved their sponsorship away from Quickstep to Alpecin Phoenix, or as I had texted Matt.
Oh god, I was like, dude, wait, what? And then I tried aloe vera something.
So autocorrect on the iPhone
in Phoenix
is like is the most humorous and most frustrating thing ever. So I initially tried to say Alpecin Phoenix, and it came out as aloe and genie, and then Alpecin Phoenix, and then remix, and then somehow Desinins. Is that even a word?
Well,
anyway,
the funny thing is that I think I kind of understood what you were saying.
No one's gonna understand this. You have to read the subtitles.
Basically, they're talking. It's MVDP and CDCA and Merlier talking about how like where should I go to get windows and doors? I don't know. Let's go and find out. And then they go to the DeCoinic factory.
It's the worst.
So cringy.
It's the worst video ever. Where it's like, you can imagine the PR guy being like, "Hey, we just got sponsored by DeCoinic. They want us to do a segment, a commercial for them. So how about we do this? Like, why don't you all wear your bike kits, and then as you're talking about
hang
life, like bring up the fact that you're trying to remodel your windows, and you have just the solution, and it's DeCoinic windows. How about that?" And they're probably like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
It kind of reminds me of when Sagan would do the Bora hunt, like when we used to watch Eurosport, and he would do like the Bora. The sort of like oven, the stovetop venting system.
Dude, it just makes me think of like very old European white men having like marketing ideas.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's the only thing.
Hey, I've got a great idea. You know what we're going to do?
How about you ride your bike and then you come shop for windows, okay?
Yeah, we make the best windows. Come to Koenig.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, but it...
I don't think there's anything as white cis males. There's nothing wrong with us making fun
right to just,
of other white cis males from Europe. I mean, you're originally Polish. I'm originally Swiss. We're practically the same people, just 20 years like displaced. And we just live on the other side of the Atlantic. But we are those people.
That is true. And I am proud of being
it was pretty cringy. It was pretty painful.
Bad. But yeah.
But the other news is that Quickstep is now returning back to Quickstep.
Thank God.
And Quickstep are now going to be known as Quickstep Alpha Vinyl, which is essentially a Quickstep sub-brand name.
Well,
all is good, and I'm sure they're going to be wearing blue, and it'll look like they're wearing suspenders, like...
oh, man.
Like that kit from the 80s that the professor wore, whose name I can never remember under pressure, the French guy with the ponytail and the glasses. No, not Bernard Hinault.
No, I was gonna say something totally not correct.
Anyway,
Fignon.
that guy. Fignon, Laurent Fignon, mais bien sûr.
Okay. That's the one French name I can help you with.
Dude, I'm so grateful because for some reason, even though like, if you ever get a chance, read his book, it's like the best. Oh, So his book is the best
Seconds?
cycling book because I don't know if it's ghostwritten or actually written by him, but he provides a very honest account of his own kind of drug use, which was just like amphetamines and just while training, because of course, no big deal, MVD, right? But then also like realizing how this sort of new drug was coming into the peloton and his observations of the EPO era, super fascinating.
Dude, but speaking of which,
wait, I'm not done though. Is this about books?
No, just finish your point.
I'm also reading a book called Man of Valor, which is about Gino Bartali, who was transporting documents to save kind of Italian Jews during the Second World War, during the German occupation. It's really interesting, and I'm finding it so much more interesting than your standard cycling biography where it's like, blah 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 was born in a village and grew up riding his bikes when his dad bought him his first bike, kind of a thing, because it's presenting this really interesting history around what it was like living in Italy around that time and who was in charge and who was in power and what the sort of prevailing attitudes were. And before Mussolini and before the Second World War, Italians were very welcoming of the Jews, and there was no issues with them, which I thought was kind of interesting. And then that sort of like happened like during that time, but it was just really cool. And as a man of the faith, it was interesting kind of connecting with Gino in a way that I hadn't connected with a cyclist before, which is over my beliefs in my religion.
Nice.
So that was kind of cool. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. So it's Man of Valor. I just picked it up from the library.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard about that one, but I hadn't dug much into it.
What's your final thought?
I was just going to share, there was the Lance Armstrong podcast, speaking of doping.
Lance.
That was on...
Speaking of massive amounts of EPO.
On Peter Attia, MD, I guess he has a podcast that's kind of existed, like, this is the one I'd sent you. But he had...
That I didn't watch because of Lance.
God, I don't feel like we're friends anymore. It's like, hey, bro, you should check this out.
Well, you're the one who's
like,
wearing the
cool,
Mellow Johnny's bike shop t-shirt.
Hey, dude, I still like Lance.
I'm wearing my Ronde van Vlaanderen
Look at your fancy
t-shirt, so whatevs.
But yeah, so there was a interview with Peter Attia, he is his own podcasting brand, and he had Lance on, and I don't know fully the whole history there, but judging by the nature of the way they were conversing, these are clearly like close friends.
Interesting.
And so it was just a very, like, Lance has had, like the Oprah thing, and then this series of there's like the ESPN documentary, and he's had this evolving truth-telling persona now, right, that he's like putting out there, of just like being very forward about what happened and how he feels about it. But this was just like, I was almost shocked because it felt like two best friends talking to one another, and it was just incredibly honest and open. And anyway, it was cool because I think Lance showed a lot of just self-awareness and humility in some ways. And anyway, it was super interesting. But all that being said, I guess I had the takeaway that, like, yeah, I mean, EPO, a lot of people have said that like Lance was the scapegoat for all of it. And, and I mean, dude,
to a certain degree, yeah,
he definitely was. I mean,
but he also kind of freaking deserved it.
Well, I mean, yeah, him being an asshole was its own segment that needed to be dealt with, but him doing drugs and representing the entire peloton being doped to the gills was not deserved, in my opinion. You can say what you will about my perspective on that, but I think him as a person had its own things to reckon with. But anyway, so it was just interesting. I didn't mean to end this whole...
And it's Lance Armstrong, The Rise, Fall, and Growth of a Cycling Legends. I'll put in a link in the in the show notes.
Great. Now we're going to be linked to another podcast talking about.
Is that a podcast?
We've
talked about 2 other podcasts today. So
well, the Andrew Huberman one's worth checking out. Yeah. Anyway, all that being said,
we'll have him on ours when we're pro and millions.
Look, if anything, we're flying to Worlds not just for us, but to hopefully give you and anyone else who tunes in some form of a firsthand account of what's happening in Arkansas when this race goes down. Hopefully there's no cancellation. So please be ready for that and spread the word. Like we're going to be present for Worlds, which we're super excited about.
Come find us, free autographs.
Yeah, we'll but anyway,
we're just excited to be there.
we are, and we really hope to kind of bring you some firsthand account. I hope to catch up with our friend Tyler too. I think there's still more to talk about.
We'll get him.
with him. He's just a cool dude.
That's Tyler Cloutier.
Yeah, and raced in Europe, like kind of a self-made European cyclocross racer from America, which is just so badass.
We need to get him for an actual like full interview.
Well, maybe we'll get that lined out. But yeah. So all that being said, like tune in a couple months here. I say a couple months because it's coming up very, very quick. But we're looking forward to it. And thanks for tuning in this week. Again, we'd appreciate any likes or any input at offthebackpodcast@gmail.com too. But anyway, thanks for tuning in this week, giving us some of your time. We know it's precious, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.